French President Emmanuel Macron has said that bringing an end to the Russia-Ukraine war remains a key goal, but is more difficult than we imagine. Speaking at the NATO summit in The Hague, Macron reaffirmed Europe's commitment to increasing defense spending in response to what he called the ongoing third Russian war in Europe. He emphasized that the war in Ukraine, following Russia's actions in Georgia and Crimea, underscores the need for European nations to take greater responsibility for their own security within NATO. Macron also reiterated his call for unity among the NATO allies, urging an end to internal trade tensions that could undermine collective defense efforts. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has stressed the need for a firm NATO stance against Russia, while acknowledging that Russia is He called on the United States, led by President Donald Trump, to take a more active role in enforcing and intensifying sanctions on Moscow. The Chancellor emphasized the importance of economic and diplomatic pressure alongside military preparedness, highlighting that only a united transatlantic effort can push Russia towards peace negotiations and de-escalation in the ongoing conflict. And Russia has launched a new wave of strikes across Ukraine, killing 17 people in the city of Dnipro and wounding more than 200. And dozens of buildings and infrastructure facilities were damaged in the southeastern city as missiles rained down overnight. In a separate incident, 2 civilians were killed in a Russian attack on Samara as Moscow continues its broad assault on urban centers. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has appointed Hennady Shapovalov as the new commander of Ukraine's ground forces. He will also be tasked with overseeing military recruitment abroad, part of a broader mobilization drive. Russia claims its air defenses intercepted dozens of Ukrainian drones overnight, including in the broader region of Voronezh. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has condemned a Russian missile strike on the city of Dnipro that left 16 dead and more than 100 injured, including train passengers and children. Addressing the Dutch parliament in The Hague, Zelensky accused Russia of carrying out the attack with the Iranian-designed Shahed drones. He said Moscow has used nearly 29,000 such drones since the war began, warning that Ukraine's ability to intercept them depends on sustained Western support. Zelensky also blamed Iran for enabling Russia's drone operations, describing Tehran's support as a key factor in the ongoing conflict. Meanwhile, the U.S. President Donald Trump, en route to a NATO summit in the Netherlands, shared a message from NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, though no official comment has yet been made on the Dnipro strike.
Even a passenger train was hit as it was simply following its route. The missile.
NATO's leaders have endorsed a significant increase in defense spending, reaffirming their commitment to collective defense as enshrined in Article 5. And in a statement, allies pledged to invest 5% of their gross domestic product annually in core defense requirements and defense and security-related spending by 2023. This includes allocating at least 3.5% of the GDP to resource core defense requirements, with up to 1.5% of the GDP annually dedicated to protecting critical infrastructure, ensuring resilience and strengthening their defense industrial base.
To make our people safer through a stronger, fairer and more lethal.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has stated Spain will meet NATO's new capability targets, but insists the country's current defense spending of 2% of the GDP is sufficient and realistic. Sánchez declined NATO's demand to raise defense budgets to 5% of the GDP, a stance that NATO chief Mark Rutte publicly opposed. In response to the U.S. President Donald Trump's criticism of Spain's defense spending, Sánchez emphasized respect for the sovereignty of the countries that choose to spend more, while reaffirming Spain's commitment to NATO and defending its current position.
pura lógica, de puro sentido común.
And tensions flared in Kenya as protesters marked 1 year since the deadly anti-government demonstrations, with police firing tear gas and shots heard off-screen. Demonstrators erected barricades and carried heart and cross-shaped banners alongside Kenyan flags. The unrest follows renewed outrage over the police brutality after the death of a 31-year-old blogger, Albert Ojwang, in custody. At least 10 people with gunshot wounds were hospitalized. Kenya's communication authority has repeatedly ordered a halt to live protest coverage by the local broadcasters. And tens of thousands have been displaced in southern China after heavy rains triggered massive flooding in Guangzhou province. State media say the Dulo River overflowed, flooding several counties and forcing over 80,000 people to evacuate. The CCTV footage showed floodwaters sweeping through buildings, including a mall in Rojang. A level 1 flood emergency was declared on Tuesday. In neighboring Guangxi, rescue teams used boats to reach stranded residents as the crisis escalates.